Welcome everybody to NXT as we are fresh off of WrestleMania weekend and Stand and Deliver and are ready to turn the page to the next chapter in the NXT brand. Raw was a huge success and I thank you guys for joining me on this journey. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe down below. And we have a very special guest to kick off tonight's show standing in the ring. We are NXT. This past weekend, NXT showed out like never before. At Stand and Deliver, we saw new champions crowned, and Dolph Ziggler defended the NXT Championship against Bron Breakker. Now, it was not without the assistance, though, of Robert Roode, and therefore I do believe Bron Breakker deserves one last chance, and that is why we are having an NXT Championship rematch tonight here on NXT. And the person who booked that match is me. See, with me retiring, I now have more time for other duties. And with that being said, I, Triple H, am now the general manager of NXT. And in my first official duties here on NXT, I will add to the championship rematch. And Robert Roode is banned from ringside. He will not be in the building tonight. It'll be Ziggler versus Breakker one-on-one for the NXT Championship, just like how it should have been at Stand and Deliver. Let the best man win. What an exciting way to kick off tonight's show. Triple H is the new general manager of NXT. Let's take a look at the card he's put together for tonight. First, we're going to see Imperium go against Jacket Time. Andre Chase goes one-on-one against Von Wagner. And then Solo Sikoa versus A-Kid before Indy Hartwell versus Persia Pirotta in our main event, the NXT Championship match. As far as the results from earlier, Imperium does beat Jacket Time. Von Wagner gets a win over Andre Chase. Solo Sikoa beats A-Kid, and then Indy Hartwell beats Persia Pirotta in a big win against former friends. And then time for the main event, our featured match of the night. Before we do get there, though, I want to take a look. Indy Hartwell did get the big win over Persia, but you can see Persia Pirotta very disappointed in herself, not happy with her performance tonight, could not beat her former friend. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for your main event of the evening, the NXT Championship on the line in a rematch from Stand and Deliver this past Saturday, as it'll be Dolph Ziggler defending against the challenger Bron Breakker, who makes his way to the ring, the former NXT champion who gets one last chance to regain the gold that he lost in that triple threat match back at NXT Roadblock, as Bron Breakker did come up unsuccessful on Saturday, and he gets one last shot. Now, Bron Breakker, that was not the only time we saw him this past weekend. Remember, we saw him induct his father and his uncle, the Steiner brothers, into the Hall of Fame Friday night. So that was a feel-good moment. You like to think Bron Breakker would like one more feel-good moment tonight. Now, one thing Breakker does not have to worry about is there's going to be no Robert Roode. The new NXT General Manager, Triple H, announcing at the top of the show that Robert Roode has been banned from the building. So Breakker finally gets Ziggler one-on-one, no shenanigans. That also means no excuses for Bron Breakker. Now here comes the champion making his way to the ring, Dolph Ziggler, who is your NXT champion and experiencing somewhat of a resurgence since entering the doors here at the WWE Performance Center. Dolph Ziggler has been wearing that NXT championship for 28 days as this marks his 4th week as the champion. Ziggler, we've seen his success on the main roster. He hasn't been quite as successful recently, but NXT, a different story. Ziggler is the veteran. He has crafted his way past Bron Breakker before. He's beaten Tommaso Ciampa, and Ziggler will defend the gold, though, one-on-one tonight, the very first true one-on-one matchup between Ziggler and Breakker. No Robert Roode. And Ziggler, though, if he wins tonight, there is no doubt about it. He is better than Bron Breakker. So Ziggler would love to see that and get Breakker out of his way and continue his championship reign. But NXT Championship is on the line here tonight. Ziggler in one corner, and the other one, the former NXT champion, Bron Breakker, who is all sorts of fired up. The fan favorite defending his house, wanting to regain his gold. Standing across from him is the reigning NXT champion in his first reign at 28 days, Dolph Ziggler, one half of the Dirty Dogs, as he represents them tonight, looking to hold on to that NXT Championship. Big fight feel here in Winter Park, Florida, as the gold is being handed over to the referee as they get ready for our featured match of the evening. It's the only match we're highlighting. It's the biggest one that we could possibly have in the very first episode of NXT here in Universe Mode. The gold is above the head, which signals we are time. Gold handed over to the timekeeper is Bron Breakker, Dolph Ziggler for the NXT Championship, and we are underway. Both superstars meet in the center of the ring. Ziggler gets the early advantage with a couple of strikes, but Breakker with the back elbow counter, and there's a quick power slam to Dolph Ziggler. Breakker, we know his game is built on his power, such explosiveness in a quick step. Breakker is a very good athlete. It's just, can he outsmart Ziggler? You know, Ziggler is the crafty veteran. You know, Ziggler's going to try to use his speed to his advantage. He's going to use his strategy, his mind to get the best of Breakker, but there's not much he can do about it here. Breakker's got him up for a delayed vertical suplex, marches in a 360 with one hand, and drops Ziggler to the mat. Breakker off to a hot start here as he now rains right hands across the face of Ziggler and maintains control. Breakker with a win here tonight would enter rare air as a two-time NXT champion. Only a handful of superstars have done that in the past, as he continues the offense here on Dolph Ziggler. Breakker will lift up Ziggler back to his feet. They tie up, and he's going to pick him up and drive the knee into the back. Holds on to Ziggler one more time and just throws him across the ring. Breakker with all of the momentum. Really, this has been one-sided so far, as now Breakker rakes the face of Ziggler, drops an elbow. But I do like this strategy of Breakker continuing on the onslaught, not letting Ziggler breathe, but Ziggler does get that boot up. And now Ziggler is climbing to the top turnbuckle. He wants Breakker to get back to his feet. Ziggler, what does he have in mind? He hits a missile drop kick that drops Breakker to the mat. Ziggler now with the momentum. There's an elbow, knocks Breakker against the ropes. He's going to put him down, and Ziggler's going to drive the boot into the chest of Breakker, trying to drive the wind out of the powerhouse. And now Ziggler with a neck breaker drops Breakker again. The first pinfall attempt. Ziggler to hold on to the championship only gets one. Got to do a lot more to be Breakker here tonight, as Ziggler with another stomp to Bron as he looks to stay on the offense. And now a modified submission, a nice bridge by Ziggler. Breakker is close to the ropes. He's not using his foot to reach out. I think that might go back to what we talk about in Bron just not being as aware as Dolph Ziggler. Yes, Breakker is a phenomenal athlete, but he is still very young. He has a lot to learn in terms of ring positioning and how to outsmart your opponents. He's been able to rely on his power game to this point. As you can see, speaking of power, he's got Ziggler up, and he's just going to drive him into the mat. Breakker back in control as he starts to ground Ziggler. Another stump across the face. Now he lifts up Ziggler and hits him with a modified spinning slam. As now Breakker back with the momentum. And there's a spear out of nowhere. Breakker drives Ziggler to the mat. Not a lot of power behind that, but going to do a little bit of damage to the ribcage of Ziggler. But Ziggler back to his feet, hits with a super kick. And now he's going to go for the pin to retain the championship too. And there's a kick out by Breakker. Interesting sequence there. Breakker hit the spear, but Ziggler counters with a super kick of his own. And now Ziggler's going to go to the top turnbuckle. I think he realizes, though, Breakker was too far out of the way, so not going to fly off, not look for that drop kick again. Instead, Ziggler continues the momentum with a knee right to the face. That grounds Breakker once more as he's going to work now on the legs. We're going to have to go to a quick commercial break. We will rejoin this one as it's Ziggler Breakker for the NXT Championship. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Tuesday, May the 3rd, NXT presents In Your House, another edition of the special event where we'll see championships on the line. Rivalries go head-to-head in a very special live 2-hour episode of NXT. You don't want to miss it. Mark your calendars, Tuesday, May 3rd. We're back here with your main event, Ziggler versus Breakker for the NXT Championship, and Breakker drives Ziggler into the mat, come back right into the power slam. Breakker trying to drag Ziggler over for the pin. Are we going to have a new NXT champion? Ref into position 1, 2, and no, a kick out by Ziggler. Well, Breakker hit the big move out of the commercial break, but I think he waited a little too much time to drag Ziggler over. But no doubt about it, Breakker has the momentum now as he is looking to reclaim that title as he picks Ziggler back up to his feet, ties him back up. He's going to look for another suplex, and he just throws Ziggler across the ring. I thought he was going for a suplex, but instead it was just a suplex into a throw. But Breakker now with the momentum stomp to the face of Ziggler, but Ziggler quick back to his feet and hits a clothesline. That's one way to get the momentum back into your favor, but Breakker back to his feet will engage with Ziggler, and he's going to pick him back up and drop him into the turnbuckle with the snake eyes. Breakker, though, quickly into the cover. 1, 2. Do we have a new champion? No, we do not, as Ziggler kicks out at 2. Well, Breakker's got to stay on the offense. He is close. I think he can feel it as he's not letting Ziggler breathe. Elbow right into the back, where he just got slammed down a minute ago. And then Breakker back up, slams Ziggler right back down to the mat. There is that power game, but Ziggler back to his feet. But Breakker plants him right back down with another beautiful power slam as Breakker is rolling. Gets engaged with Ziggler again, hits another power slam. That's back-to-back, but Ziggler back to his feet. And he takes the big man off of his feet, showing that amateur wrestling background that Ziggler does possess, and not much amateur about that, just rakes the face of Breakker across the mat. Well, Ziggler with a win here tonight would have solidified himself over Bron Breakker, but Ziggler's not done. Actually, on Monday Night Raw, if Ziggler retains, he has to defend that title against Tommaso Ciampa, so that'll be a very interesting matchup. But this match is not over yet as Breakker hits another spear on Ziggler, goes in for the pin. Ref is in position. 1, 2, and 3. Breakker gets it. We have a new NXT champion. Bron Breakker has beat Dolph Ziggler, and that title defense on Monday night will not happen. Bron Breakker with the spear reclaims the gold, beats Ziggler one-on-one, and has brought the NXT championship back home to NXT. Well, good matchup. Bron Breakker one last chance, and he connects. He is awarded the gold. He sends Ziggler away from NXT and now can regain his spot on top of the mountain. Well, wait a second. That's Tony D'Angelo in the ring. Bron Breakker has no idea, and D'Angelo starts hitting on Breakker, knocks him into the corner. Tony D'Angelo, the new self-proclaimed Don of NXT, looking to make a statement here. D'Angelo beat Tommaso Ciampa at Stand and Deliver. I think he has his sights set on the NXT Championship as he continues to assault the new champion with a huge moonsault. That's all we have time for you guys, though, on this one. We'll have to get back with that next week, as the next time we'll be coming to you guys for live will be SmackDown on Friday. But the road continues to Backlash, as one match has been announced so far. It's Roman Reigns versus Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar in a triple threat match for the WWE Championship. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We crowned a new NXT champion tonight. We'll have to see what happens between Breakker and D'Angelo next week, right here, Tuesday on NXT. If you did enjoy, make sure you leave that like and subscribe down below, especially if you want more 2K content, as well as join the Discord where we could talk about all things 2K, all things wrestling, all things that you guys would like to talk about. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is Mr. Rob, and I'll see you in the next one.